Criminology Board Exam Reviewer. Lie detection and interrogation. Polygraph. Polygraph. It is popularly referred to as lie detector. It measures and records several psychological indices such as blood pressure, pulse, respiration and skin conductivity while the subject is asked and answers a series of questions. It literally means many writings. It is derived from two Greek words poly, which means many, and graphos, which means writing. Blood pressure. It is the pressure exerted by circulating blood upon the walls of blood vessels and is one of the principal vital signs. Pulse. It represents the tactile arterial palpitation of the heartbeat by trained fingertips. It can also be measured by listening to the heart directly using a stethoscope. Respiration. It is the transport of oxygen from the outside air to the cells within tissues and the transport of carbon dioxide in the opposite direction. Skin conductivity. It is also known as galvanic skin response, is a method of measuring the electrical conductance of the skin which varies with its moisture level. Ohm meter. It is an electrical instrument that measures electrical resistance, the opposition to an electric current. Galvanometer. It is an instrument for detecting and measuring electric current. Stimuli. It is applied to sensory receptor. It influences a reflex via stimulus transduction. Personalities who contributed to the development of the polygraph machine. Cesare Lombroso. He invented in 1895 a device to measure changes in blood pressure for police case. John Augustus Larson. He is a medical student at the University of California at Berkeley, invented the polygraph in 1921. The device record both blood pressure and galvanic skin response. Further work on this device was done by Leonard Keeler. Leonard Keeler. He was the co-inventor of the polygraph. He developed the so-called cardiopneumopsychogram capable of detecting deception and worked on to produce the modern polygraph. William Marston. He is an American who used blood pressure to examine German prisoners of war. John Reed. In 1948, developed a device which recorded muscular activity accompanying changes in blood pressure. He claimed greater accuracy could be obtained by making the recordings simultaneously with standard blood pressure, pulse, and respiration recordings. Two types of present-day polygraph instrumentation. 1. Analog. 2. Computerized. Types of questions in a polygraph test. 1. Control question, preliminary information question. 2. Irrelevant question. 3. Relevant question. Note, in a polygraph test, the types of questions alternates. The test is passed if the physiological responses during the probable lie control questions are larger than those during the relevant question. Lie detection. It is the practice of determining whether someone is lying. 3 basic approaches to the polygraph test. 1. The control question test, CQT. This test compares the physiological response to relevant questions about the crime with the response to questions relating to possible prior misdeeds. This test is often used to determine whether certain criminal suspects should be prosecuted or classified as uninvolved in the crime. 2. The directed lie test, DLT. This test tries to detect lying by comparing physiological responses when the subject is told to deliberately lie to responses when they tell the truth. 3. The guilty knowledge test, GKT. This test compares physiological responses to multiple choice type questions about the crime, one choice of which contains information only the crime investigators and the criminal would know about. 3 phases of a polygraph examination. 1. Pre-test phase. The examiner discusses with the subject the test issue, review the test questions that will be asked during the test and assess the subject's emotional and physiological suitability to undergo the polygraph test. 2. testing phase, subject's physiological responses are recorded as the subject answers a set of questions reviewed earlier. 3. Post-test phase, examiner reviews test data obtained and interprets the polygraph chart. Conclusions that a polygraph examiner may reach. 1. Subject is telling the truth. 2. Subject is not telling the truth. 3. The result is inconclusive. Take note of the following. A polygraph test normally lasts between 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours. Polygraph test result in the Philippines is not admissible in evidence as proof of the guilt of an accused. Polygraph test is voluntary. The accuracy of polygraph test is about 90%. Provided the examiner is competent and their polygraph machine is in good working condition. Polygraph is an investigative tool. The principle behind a lie detection test is that when the subject hears a questions which he or she intends to lie, the brain interprets and triggers automatic and uncontrollable physiological changes captured by the polygraph. Who uses the polygraph? 1. Law enforcement agencies. 2. Legal community. 3. Private sector. Kinds of errors in a polygraph test. 1. False positive occurs when a truthful examinee is reported as being deceptive. 2. False negative, when a deceptive examinee is reported as truthful. Causes of polygraph errors. 1. Failure of examiner to properly prepare their examinee for the examination. 2. Misreading of the physiological data on their polygraph charts. 3. Defective polygraph machine. Reactions, changes in blood pressure, pulse rate, breathing and sweat activity.